Hey everyone, my name is Keely and I'm the owner and creator here at Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for another soap making video. Now if you caught this week's behind the scenes video, you know, and you would know from the title, that we are making a beer soap. Today I am going to be adding some Corona in as part of the liquid portion of my soap. And if you want to see how I actually prepared that beer ready to go into this soap, check out the midweek video, which I'll leave a link to up in the top corner for you. But for now, let's go and make beer soap. So as usual, I have my bucket of oils here. I'm using my regular recipe, which you'll find down in the description box down below. I am soaping at room temperature, which is about 24 degrees Celsius today. And the first thing I am going to do, if you watched my behind the scenes video that I did, you would have seen how I prepared the beer to do the liquid component of this. And I said I needed an extra 80 grams of water other than what I'd actually dissolved in my lye solution. So first thing I'm going to do is pour that into my water. I learned the very hard way, if you pour extra water into your lye water here, this heats up. So I am pouring it into my oils. I have my beer here, which I have boiled down and to get rid of the alcohol out of it. And I'm going to pour that into my oils too. I'm going to give that just a quick blitz to incorporate it all. And then I'm going to pour in my lye solution. So that is now incorporated. We are going to add in our colour, and I'm going to use the same colour that I used for the soap dough in that behind the scenes video. If you haven't yet watched that, I will leave a link for you up in the top right hand corner. So this is the Extravagance Sparkle Mica, because I really love the shimmer and shine that this one leaves behind. But I'm also going to add in some Grandeur Mica, because this has a bit more of a mellow tone. So instead of getting it to be too girly and sparkly, this will give it a really nice beer sort of tone to it. So we'll add some of that in there. And because this is going to be a very simple design, and I already know that this fragrance oil, which is beer, behaves very well, I'm going to pour it into my pot here, and then I'm going to mix that up before we start pouring into our mold. Okay, so I have actually mixed this up to a medium trace because we have some little soap balls to throw in here, so I want them to float around in the soap as we pour it. So let me get my stick blender cleaned off, and then we will get to pouring into the mold. Okay, so we have our mold here. I am going to start by just pouring in a bit of a layer to start with. It doesn't have to be any particular amount, and catch that drip. I can feel that is warming up, and that would be because of the sugars that are in the alcohol. Now we have these little soap bubbles here, and if you want to know how I made these, again, check out that behind the scenes video. All I'm going to do is just scatter some of these through, then I'll pour a bit more of the soap into it, and then we'll pour some more of these as we layer up in the soap. That bit of the soap is now done, but we are not finished with it yet. It looks like by having these sugars from that alcohol really accelerated the trace on that, because I certainly didn't have it go that thick when I was doing the soap dough to make those bubbles. But that's to be expected when you are using a liquid that has a sugar content in it. I am going to do a white top on this, and the reason I'm doing my oils separately to this batch, apart from the fact that that did accelerate, is because I don't know if that beer will actually discolor that at all. I didn't put any beer in the soap dough, so that's not really any indication for me. So I figured in case it does, I will do my white top separately so it stays nice and white. So I have exactly the same oils in here that I usually use, and the same oils that were in there. I'm going to pour the rest of my beer fragrance in there because we're not going to do anything too fancy with this. I am going to add in some titanium dioxide straight into my lye water. All that's done by me putting that straight in there. Whether I put it there or in here, I've just put a little bit of extra water, but I am actually soaping at 32, so it's not going to make too much of a difference. I am pouring that straight into my oils. I'm going to mix it up, and then we're going to pop it onto the top of that soap. Okay, so we are all nicely mixed up on there, and that's given me a really nice white colour, perfect for the foam on top of the beer. Let's get that all scraped out. Let's bring our mould in just that little bit closer, and I'm going to start pouring this on the top. I have left it at quite a light trace so that it actually fills up all of those gaps nicely and we don't get any air bubbles. And I just want this to look just like that foamy head on top of a well poured beer. Okay, so there is the top of beer soap, and I'm not going to leave it as is. The beer I actually used in here was some Corona. So of course we need to put some citrus fruit wedges on them. If you've never had Corona, generally it is served with either a wedge of lime or a wedge of lemon. Personally, I like mine served with a wedge of lime. I just find it to be that little bit tartar and gives a really nice flavour to the beer. But hey, I'm not bothered as long as there's either one or the other in there. So I am going to pop these in here. What do you actually prefer? A slice of lemon or a slice of lime in your Corona? If you are curious as to how I actually make these, I did do a video where I showed you how I made them for a grapefruit soap, and I said you could do them in lots of other sort of things. So I did the lemon, which is the same as the grapefruit, and that is my little lime. I'll leave a link up in the top, so if you do want to check out how to make your citrus fruits to look this way, you are more than welcome to go and check that one out as well. Now I do have a question which I'm going to leave as a poll up in the top because I've just got something planned in my mind. I would like to know how many of you guys are watching and are subscribed are actually soap makers yourselves, or are you just watching along because you enjoy watching people make soap? Your response will actually be used for something a little bit further down the track. So I would love it if you could actually pop on up into that top right hand corner and let me know, please. I am going to finish getting these into this soap, and then I will bring you down for a bit of a closer look. So here is the beer soap up close. I have decided to leave this as is, even with all those sort of blobs of white soap on there, because quite often if you get a beer that has been pulled, you get those sort of lumpy bits of foam sitting on the top as well. So I think it gives it a really authentic look. I'm not putting any glitter or sparkles on here because I don't think most men want to come out of the shower looking all pretty and sparkly. So I'm going to leave this one sit here overnight, and then we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to cut it open and see what the bubbles look like on the inside of this beer soap. Okay, so we are back to cut open this beer soap. As you can see, the top of this has taken on a real gold tinge, so I'm a little bit disappointed. It did say that this fragrance oil had 0 vanillin, but it must have the vanillin ET in it, because that will actually also do a bit of discoloring. I do have some air pockets on the side of the soap, but it's not too bad. I will be able to fill that in with the sort of end piece that I get from off all of my soaps. It is smelling so good. It's like a craft beer. It just smells absolutely amazing. I can't wait to get this one cut open to see if I got that sort of effect of lots of little bubbles rising up through the beer. So let's go through. We are missing all of those pieces of citrus fruit there, so let's keep going through and then we'll take a look at the inside. Alright, so let's take a look inside here. I'm going for the end piece because it's got my favourite addition to Corona, a piece of lime. And that is the inside of our beer soap. I love how these bubbles have come up. They are almost the same colour as that, as the rest of the soap, because bubbles are always the same colour in beer as what the actual liquid is. It's just this white outer ring of them which really differentiate bubbles in beer. That one's got a few more, and I can see on the side here there are other little bubbles in there, so as you use the soap you'll find more and more bubbles. There are some obvious glycerin rivers in here, but I absolutely love the effect that it has given. It's almost like we've put two different colours in here and done a really, really pretty swirl, but really it's just the one colour, and the glycerin rivers are really picking it up. And then there are those sort of sparkles, and I love this white foam on the top here. Let's have a look at one of our lemon slices. Pull that one off. Oh, the bubbles all seem to have been going up the side of this one rather than scattered through. Again, I am absolutely loving how those glycerin rivers are really adding to the whole texture of this soap. I am so impressed with that one, and the smell of this is so good. The actual smell of the real beer that I use, that doesn't come through. When you're actually making it using that beer, you do get that sort of funny smell from off it, but now that it's actually sat and done its thing, the smell of the actual beer has gone away, but I'm getting that fragrance oil come through with all those fruity notes that it's got in it, and just a little bit of hop smell as well. I think the women would actually really love this soap too, even though it's more done up for the men. I'd be happy to get a bar of this one. Alright, I'm going to grab these two from off the end and have a look here. Oh, they've got lots of bubbles in. That's a really good one. I really like that. And I'm really pleased that there aren't actually that many air pockets that are in this piece. When I cut the rest of the loaf up, I'll end up with a little spare bit at the end, and I'll just use that as a bit of soap dough to fill in all the little holes. So I hope you have enjoyed watching how I make my beer soap. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. If you've got any questions or even any suggestions, I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And until the next video, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you then. Bye.